Okay, my name is Paul Quarter. I'm with Perfect Golf Event, and today we're going to talk about how to jumpstart your 2020 fundraising golf event. Um, these are challenging times, as we all know, and we work with thousands of events with Perfect Golf Event, and a lot of our events are moving to the fall, and have asked us for information on how to conduct their events in a safe environment, how to start marketing their event, sort of get their momentum back. And so we put this presentation together. I hope you find it useful. On a housekeeping notes, just let you know, don't have to copy everything down. You're welcome to take all your notes you'd like, but I'll be glad to send you a copy of the deck, excuse me, afterwards, so you'll have a complete copy of the presentation. So let's get started. If you have any questions, there's a question box. You can put those. We'll look at the questions towards the end. But thanks again for attending, and let's get started. So let's talk about, first of all, the benefits of rescheduling versus canceling. You know, as I said, we work with thousands of events who use Perfect Golf Event for their website for registration. And I'd say the majority, 90% of the people are holding on. They're trying to say, hey, and we had a term we used on my webinar yesterday, which is, you know, survive and advance. So let's get through this year, get ready for 2021. But you really want to try and have your event this year. I've found, and I've been doing this 16 years, that it's difficult to relaunch an event if you skip a year. So if you can hold it this year, you know, you might have a modified event, and we'll talk about that in a second, but try and hold the event. Our feeling is that the golf event is a great way to energize your organization, you know, after all the recent challenges we've had in our communities. The good news is a golf course, you know, I went out today and I wouldn't want to be in the Walmart parking lot. I'd rather be on a golf course where I have a controlled environment. So I think a golf course is a safe, controlled environment. A couple of tips: if you're going to move your date, if you don't already have a fall date, get a date now, because the golf courses, there are already a lot of events that normally have their events in the fall. So you want to get your date in there, because golf courses are, you know, are going to have some less available dates. A lot of people moving their events to fall. So if you haven't done that already, I would get on that. And then we'll talk. I'm going to give you some marketing tips in a second, but obviously you want to start promoting your event and let people know what's going on with your new event date if you're moving it. Couple things as you're getting started. You really want to get your committee re-energized. I mean, especially if you were having an event scheduled for May or June, and all of a sudden you're having to move it, and people are like, oh, we put a lot of effort into this, and get a little discouraged. So what I would do is, you know, just get our committees going again. You know, organize some online sessions, use Zoom or whatever you use for online, and get your committee together and say, hey, you know, we have some things to talk about. And when you're done and you have a copy of this presentation, you're going to have some tools you can use to energize your committee. This is also a good time to maybe introduce new members that can contribute to your event. So maybe if it's a couple of new people said, hey, we really need some help getting this event, you know, motivated and momentum for this event for the fall, add some new people to the committee. Start by looking at all the people you had on your list of committed and potential teams and sponsors. See who's holding in, still planning to come to the event. But at the same time, you know, see if you can identify some other ones. So, okay, so hang on a second. People had some questions about the audio. Now they're getting it. So update your list. And then what I do with my committees is I'm assigning, and we'll get into social media in a second, but I'm assigning each committee member a different channel of social media. So I'm saying, hey, Bill, you're in charge of Facebook. Let's make sure we're on Facebook. And Sarah, you're going to help us with Twitter. Make sure we're getting stuff out on Twitter. So involve your committee. Get them going right now. Some of them still may be working at home and have some energy to put it together, but get your committee energized. That's really important. Now, let's talk about working with your golf course. Very important factor. You want to confirm the availability, book your date now if you haven't already done that. You want to understand whatever restrictions they're expecting, and then you want to stay in touch with them, because the restrictions may change as you get closer to your event date. It's important to make sure you know what your course's cancellation policy. So if, for example, you can't have it in the fall because for whatever reason, are they going to let you carry it over your deposit to 2021? You got to work that out. Now, normally I would always say have an event. My favorite event dates are Wednesday, Thursday, Fridays. I don't like Mondays because everybody wants to get back to work. But in this time, in this environment, I might want to consider a weekend date. And the reason I tell you this is people have been at home with their families for a long time. So usually stay away from weekends because people have family commitments. Well, we've all been with our families for a long time. Also, people have missed some work days, so they may want to be in the office. So if there's a chance you can hold your event on a Saturday or Sunday, only this year, I wouldn't normally do that. It's just something to think about in terms of getting people out to your event. A couple of ideas. First of all, you want to ask your golf course to help you promote the event. Normally they're sort of stand backish on that kind of thing. It's like, well, we have lots of events. We can't support them all. Let me tell you something really right now. Your event is very important to the golf course's financial recovery. They've lost a lot of revenue on missed tee times. They've had some outings canceled. They've had some members quit if it's a private club. This event is very important to them, and so you want to work that angle with them. So you're going to ask them to promote it to their database, maybe let you put a poster up in the locker room, push, push, push to get the golf course to help you promote your event. A couple other things work with the golf course. Think about asking the golf course for some reductions in costs, saying, hey, I know your normal costs are this, but this is a tough year for all of us. So can you give us a break and let's work on that. Remembering again, all golf courses need business. They want your event. So whatever they can do to get people out there playing, get your revenue, they need it. What I've done with a couple of my events is I've gone to the golf course and said, I need some reduction this year. We're going to have trouble. We've lost some teams. We're trying to get some more teams and sponsors. I need a break financially. But if you'll do that, I'll sign a 2-year agreement and we'll go back to full price next year. And in fact, if the further you give me a discount, I'll commit for the next 2 years to your course. So you've got some negotiating tools. And also remember to revise the contract to remove things like group meals, buffets, and dinners. They may have some meal minimums in there. Those are the kind of things you want to get out. I'm going to talk about how to handle your meals in a bit. But you want to get those things out of there so you don't have financial commitments that are going to be uncomfortable with the new safety requirements. A couple of people are signing on late and they're asking if they're going to get a copy of the presentation. Yes, afterwards, I'll tell you where you can get a copy of all the slides so you don't have to copy everything down. Just listen and relax. Okay, a couple other things to think about in terms of ideas that make a difference. Some of the events are moving to tee times rather than a scramble. And so what they're doing is instead of having 120 people all gathered together at 12:30, we're going to take the golf course for the day, but we're going to spread it out. We're going to have teams tee off all day. And then we're going to have our award ceremony on Zoom. And they plan on that. Now, it may change if things loosen. They may be able to go back to scramble. They may be able to have their final awards banquet. But if not, this is a good backup plan to say, hey, have people tee off, every 10 minutes on the golf course, and then have people sign on, and you can recognize this, give the results, have some photos, recognize the sponsors. Everybody will understand that afterwards. But what I'm trying to do with my events, even if I'm doing tee times, I'm still going to try and bring them back because I think it's important for the networking thing. So if you do set tee times, you can invite the players to return. Then you can hold your award ceremony and things outside. I use high tables. You can space them out. You can have 2 bars spread out. And then what you do is you add $1 million shootout into the event. So say, come on back. We're going to do our awards. We're going to recognize people. We're going to have a shootout. For my events, I might take the golfers closest to the pin during the day, come back, let them take a shot for $1 million. You can take that shot at a hole near the clubhouse so everybody can watch. And then if you have a silent auction, it gets people a chance to continue to look. So there's lots of different ways to approach this. As I said, my motto this year is survive and advance. So let's use those tools to get us through this year and into 2021. A couple other things before we get into the marketing and selling. You might want to offer text check-in the day of the event. So when people come up, just say, text your name, you're here. And so we can get your checked in remotely. We'll put your player gift and the rules and the scorecards on your cart, and you can text back their card assignment for them if they don't have that. What I'm doing for one of my events is we're selling entries for like mulligans and raffle tickets and things. We're going to have volunteers walking around with iPads, and I use Square for my online or for my my swipe their cards for the payments of these kind of contests at the event. So I'll have my volunteers go up to the cart and say, hey, do you need your mulligans? Do you need your raffle tickets? Do you want to get into the putting contest? Swipe, 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 so you don't have long lines and congestion. Now, let's talk about communicating the event date change if you have to change the date. Many of you already may have a fall event, so that's fine. But if you're having to change the event, there may be some things that you need to do. So make sure you're going to communicate the change to anyone already registered, supporters, staff, volunteers, key suppliers, key sponsors. You want to update your Perfect Golf Event website, any marketing materials, so you have those current. The good news, Perfect Golf has some great email tools. If anybody registered for the event, you can automatically email them from Perfect Golf Event. You can upload lists to tell your prospects about the new date. So use those tools. And also, just a side note, think about this time if you have. Use this time to source more things for your raffle and your auction. If you're at home and if you've cleaned the house, you've done your work, and you have some other things to think about, work with your committee and supporters and volunteers and start sourcing things. We'll talk about raffles and auctions in a bit, but it's a good time to use that time to source more items. So what message are we going to communicate to people about why we're having this event, in this challenging time? Well, first of all, what I'm saying to people is, look, we really look forward to reconnecting with everybody. I miss you. I want to get together, and this is a good environment to do it. It can only be held if it's 100% safe, including current safety procedures and communications, and I'll talk that. We need your support to continue our services. Hey, we need our money to help keep the nonprofits serving people, and people are going to need our services more and more in this economy. So please come help us. All registrations are 100% refundable, so if we have to move it to the following year and you can't make it, it's refundable. And it's a perfect way, again, to network with your friends and business associates. So, if you haven't seen your clients for a while and you're a law firm or a bank or a business, and you say, hey, Bill, I haven't seen you. I've talked to you a couple of times. Why don't you come out? The three of us, four of us will get together and we'll go play golf in a very safe environment. Let's catch up and get to know each other again and reconnect our business environment. So it's a perfect environment for this type of approach. And also, we'll talk about contests, but you're going to say, by the way, this time has given us a chance to add some more fun to the event, and we're going to tell you about that as well. So you've got some good message to put out to people. The fact that you're going to still, hey, we need your support still. I know everybody's challenged, but we need the support to support the people that benefit from our nonprofit. Please come out and help us. Now, let's talk about communicating the effective, safe procedures and policies. First of all, make the potential players, sponsors, volunteers comfortable with your safety plan. I'm developing a safety plan for all of my events. I'll be glad to send you a copy of it. Once it's finished, I'll give you my email address in a bit. You want to post the safety plan on the website and include it in all your communications and update as needed. So it could be things like, look, everybody's going to have their own cart. We're not going to have putts go in the hole. We're going to have a closed cup. You just, if you tap in, it counts. So some of the things we're doing for my events and you can consider is we're going to have the automatic 2-putt rule. So it speeds up play, but also at least time touching the ball. If the putt hits the cup, count it as in. We're going to have people take automatic relief from the sand traps because sand is hard to clean. And so you don't want people putzing around in there. So pick the ball up, put it next to the trap, play on from there. You want to send all the things out in a PDF prior to your event, and you want to make sure you distribute it the day of the event. I do these event rules for all of my events, and you can see I've got a nice presentation. It's a nice fold over. The rules are inside, and it's a good sponsorship opportunity as well. Some other ideas to make a difference for our events. We're not going to have coolers on the course, so people are reaching in and touching ice, and next guy touches ice, and all of a sudden we got ice has been touched by 17 people. We're going to offer pre-packaged 6-pack coolers, and these are great because you can sell them as sponsorships. They're very inexpensive, so a player can say, hey, I want a 6-pack of water for my cart, or I want a 6-pack of beer, and we're going to charge this year for some of the beer stuff just to say I'm looking for every way to make a couple extra bucks and that people would understand, and they drink a lot of beer. So have these stations, they come up and say, hey, you want a 6-pack of beer to put on your cart? Great, it's $20. You keep the cooler. If you just want water, it's free. And again, it's a great sponsorship package. One of the things you want to do is you want to promote online registration because, and you can do this with your Perfect Golf Event website. People can register online, they can pay online. Um, you encourage everybody to do that because it's going to eliminate a lot of contact at the registration check-in area. You don't want a big line at registration. A bunch of people already, you bring them there in a safe environment, then you tell them to line up. It looks like I went to drove by Costco this morning. There was 200 people lined up to go into Costco this morning. I don't know what they were thinking. I mean, it's crazy, and they were all bundled up. I don't understand it. Um, Now, I'm going to show you an example, but you can add raffle tickets, mulligans, super tickets to the site so they can all be purchased in advance in one transaction. So that'll save you a lot of time. So it's easy to track. You can download your reports from Perfect Golf Event, so you'll have everybody's information before they get to the event, and so you'll know they bought their mulligans and they bought their raffle tickets. And all we're trying to do is speed up the registration, make it efficient, and avoid long lines of congestion. That turns everybody off when they show up at an event, and there's 20 people trying to do stuff. And the good thing is when you use our site, teams can be easily updated online, which I really like because that way what I call the event day chaos is eliminated because they get a link to say, here's my team members, and you can resend that link out prior to your event. So 4 or 5 days ahead of time, you can say, hey, you told me Bill Johnson's coming. Who's really coming? And then again, they can collect all that. Now, this is what I was talking about. So if somebody's going to register and they're using Perfect Golf Event, they could sign on. Excuse me. They can sign on and they could say, okay, I want to be a foursome or I want to be an individual golfer, and they could put that in their cart. But in the same transaction, they can also say, oh, give me my raffle tickets, give me my super ticket, give me my mulligans. And that all goes on their one credit card. They check out in one process. You get all the information you need for check-in, and it's all done on the website. So it's very efficient. And again, you can set up your website for free on Perfect Golf Event in a couple of minutes and be able to accept online registrations and just do everything I just showed you on those prior screens. Now, an exercise you're going to need to go through, just because you may have done this already, and is to make sure you've gone through your numbers again. And so this is a spreadsheet that I provide to a lot of my events. I'm glad to share it with you. If you want a copy, just email us. But you want to do the realistic, and revised revenue and expense projections. So you want to go through your event. You're going to look at all the areas where you thought you were going to make money, how many teams you thought you were going to have. You may need to modify that now. What you thought you were going to make out of sponsorship revenue. So let's get realistic about what the numbers really are. And, again, make sure you're putting in player spots with your sponsorships. Then you're going to need to go hard on your expenses to take a look at all the areas that you're going to have expenses and drill down, and that'll get you to your net number of what you're going to make this year. And again, if you're used to making a certain figure, it might be less this year. But again, we're trying to survive in advance. You want to make money. You're just going to have to work harder this year than ever before to do that. Again, for you, I saw a couple more people came on late. You'll be able to get a copy of this presentation afterwards, so you can listen, take some notes, but you'll have all the copy of all the slides. So I know we go quickly, but people have busy schedules. Okay. Controlling expenses. Make sure you review all your expense line items to identify the areas to reduce costs. I'm doing this for my events, and this is really fun. We're getting rid of the buffets. You can't have a buffet. We're not having sit-down dinners, but we're going to offer people during registration process saying, look, our standard lunch is going to be we're going to have a lunch. It's going to be a box lunch. It's going to be a turkey sandwich or a ham sandwich with some chips and an apple. But working with some of our sponsors, we're going to offer some deluxe options. So if you want to upgrade your box lunch, and then this is a great way to work with your sponsors and say, give me your restaurants, give me some ideas of good box lunches. People online can say, I really want that. I want the lobster roll, or I want something really cool. They pay a little extra to have the box lunches there the day of the event. You can do the same thing. If you're going to have rewards reception, and maybe you have, again, you don't have food, you have drinks, but then you have dinners to go. And one of my suppliers, one of my events I'm doing here in St. Louis, I have 4 suppliers already who put together dinners to go for the events that I have coming up in September. And they can say, I get dinner for 1, dinner for 2, or a family dinner, and they're going to deliver it at the end of the event. People can take it home with them. and that supports the sponsor. I think it's a cool thing. We're going to charge a little extra for it, but what a cool way to do it. I mean, you got to be creative in these days, and I think golfers will understand and sponsors will benefit. I haven't done it before, but I'm actually going to put a volunteer cost on some of my events now. You've got to watch every dollar for this year. You know that because you're trying to get to the bottom line. So, I might charge the volunteers $20 to volunteer, and they get a shirt, and they get their meal. And then I'm going to talk to you a little later about how to convert your player gift to a sponsor bundle. This is a great idea. If I say so myself, you're going to love this idea. And again, to cover some more of your costs, one of the other thoughts is if you have anything you're spending money on, trade a sponsor for it. So if you want to print a program, or you're getting beverages, whatever you need, many marketing materials, anything you need for your event, look at your expense items and then say, you know what, I'm going to give you if you'll give me that printing for free, I'll give you a sponsorship sign and I'll give you a spot in the tournament. You're going to have some extra spots this year. You're not going to sell out. And some events it's going to be tough. But so what does it matter if you put one more golfer out there if it cuts your expenses? So look at it, your expense options, and cut them all. Every dollar is important. All right, let's talk about marketing your event. And again, I know I'm covered a lot of stuff. I'm trying to cover all the bases here. So I hope you're finding this useful. Hang in there. It's a lot of good stuff still coming. Market your event. Make sure you've updated your website. If you have an organizational website, make sure you've got a message on that with a link to your PGE site. Update your flyers. Get your email campaign. I'm going to show you the marketing calendar in a minute. Get your social media campaign in place. I'll talk about press releases in just a bit, and also local media contacts. But you want to start your marketing plan. And what I use for all of my events, and I'll be glad to send you a copy of this as well, I have a marketing calendar for every event that I work with, and we recommend this for all the events, the thousands of events that we work with Perfect Golf Event. And what you do is just take and put down all the possible ways you can promote your event, and then what you do is you look through and say, hey, where can I fill in the gaps? What am I not doing? Now if my event's going to be in September, what am I doing in May, June, July, and August in different categories to promote my event? And if you put it on this kind of calendar, then you'll look and you'll spot and say, wait a second, I don't have anything going on in August. What am I, crazy? I need to put some stuff on there. Social media, and I mean use it, and I mean really use it this time. We all say we're going to post it on Facebook, et cetera, et cetera. Use social media. Now, as I mentioned before, I use one committee member on each social media channel to monitor the posts. And then this has really worked. I started with this last year, and I'm going to use it more this year. I went out to local colleges and I asked if they had any students who are trying to do community service or trying to get business experience and that would support our event. And there's some really bright men and women at the colleges that are saying, hey, I want to get this on my resume. I was in charge of social media for the Backstoppers Memorial Golf Tournament. Great, put it on your resume, but you come in and help us fashion the stuff that we have to have on our different sites. What do we do with Instagram? What do we do with Twitter and Facebook? Can we create a video to post on YouTube, that recognizes our sponsors and talks about our cause? There's a lot of bright young people out there that know more than we know about it. Tap into them. Let's be aggressive now. Let's use all the resources we can. Couple other ideas to make your event a difference. This might be the time to tap in and get a celebrity to put their name on your event. It could be a local sports person who's not playing because none of them are playing right now. Could be a business professional, somebody in the community who's head of a bank or a hospital. But I find if you can get a celebrity chairperson to say, this is the honorary chairperson for my event, it adds credibility to your event, and people will look at it and say, you know what? I want to be there. That sounds like a lot of people that I want to meet are going to be there. So just an idea. All right, let's talk about social media. Excuse me, I'm not reading my own slide. Let's talk here about a press release and media campaign. So what you want to do, remember the media is looking for positive news now. And I know this for a fact because once I announced that I was doing I had a big event scheduled for May 8th, which we moved to September 25th. And once I called the local media contacts that support this organization, and they reported it. And they said, they're still going to hold this event. People are saying the fall is going to be better. So they're moving their event. Let's everybody have a good time, and let's hope recovering. And there's a positive news. They're looking for positive news. Prepare a press release that talks about your event, and you want to talk about how the funds are being used. You might be able to put a case study of how people are supported by your event, but get something out there in the media. And one thing that really resonated when I contacted some local media for some of my events here in St. Louis is we are adding a 50-50 raffle to our events. Even though the charity event is for another organization, we're doing a 50-50 raffle, and the money is going to go either to healthcare workers or to a local food banks. And so, we'll sell raffle tickets, for $25. The winner splits the pot with the charity, and we'll donate the money to a local food bank or some healthcare workers. And the media really picked up on that. They said, here's a great idea where one nonprofit is helping other nonprofits. Very creative. So that adds more interest. So don't think about local media. Maybe you've got somebody in your committee who knows how to do this stuff, who knows how to write a press release, maybe a PR person. What I'm trying to do here, and I'm trying not to lecture, I'm just trying to give you some input, is you got to touch all the bases. You got to pull all the levers so that your event's going to work. And if you pull all the levers, you're going to have a good event. I guarantee you. But just you got to pull all the levers. Now, let's talk about sponsorship sales. It's going to be a challenge. A lot of businesses are going to be out of business. Maybe your typical sponsors aren't around. Many are coming back. So make sure that you have a lot of sponsorship options. And I mean that so that people can find something that fits their budget. Most events don't have enough sponsorships. Most of my events, I have at least 15 to 20 different sponsorship packages. So look at your event and see what you have. Make sure you get a lot of sizzle in each sponsor package. Make sure there's a lot of stuff that they're going to get. Don't just say, hey, be my title sponsor for $10,000 and you're going to get your name on the welcome banner. Not sure that's going to do it. Do your research on the sponsors. Make sure, see where their business is at right now and kind of match them up to the level of sponsorships. And then you want to train, you want to train your committee and team members, how to present the sponsorships in this environment. They're going to have to get the message across that this is not the time to go into a shell. This is the time to get out there and start promoting your business again. And there's no better place than our golf event in a controlled environment with people who have the money to play in a golf event. And the other thing to think about is, just like I did with the golf course, I've made some deals with some sponsors that said, look, normally the sponsorship's $5,000. I know everybody's challenged right now. Why don't you do it for $3,500 this year and commit to come back at the full price next year? If you do that, we'll do a 2-year agreement. And I've had good results of that. I mean, if they cancel next year, it's not going to kill me, but I get a soft commitment. So use your imagination. You're all bright people. Couple more ideas. Make sure that you add those more sponsor benefits, and your message is, we want to help you recover and grow your business. That's what we're trying to do with this golf event. We're not just looking for a donation. We're looking to give something to you. And what I mean by that is, sponsors are going to support your event to generate new business, reconnect with it, and recover lost business. So they're coming to your event for that. You, as an organizer, as a group, have to give back to them. Your goal is to communicate with them how your event can help them achieve their objectives of getting people back in their businesses and doing business with them. Now, I talked before about the player gift. I think this is a great idea, and I've already started on 3 of my events. I'm going to expand it. So, right now, people don't need a hat. They don't need a logoed golf shirt. They don't need a shoe bag that nobody uses, that they just throw in their trunk. Put together a creative player gift. And what I'm thinking about is this. So you put together a bunch of sponsor offers. So when people get there, it says, thank you for your support. Here's our player gift package. And what you do is you bundle in a bunch of offers from your sponsors that get people into their restaurants, into their business, into their dental practices, into their medical practices, into their architectural firms, into their tire rotation shops, whatever it is. And you put them all together. And you say, okay, look, here's a whole packet of stuff for you from all of our sponsors. Thanks for playing in the event. What a great way to help the sponsors get people into their business and give the players something of value and not something they're going to throw in their trunk and forget about. This is different times. I love this idea. I think I'm going to use this every year. but that's my input. I'm also providing signs for my businesses now to say we're a proud sponsor of the Shotgun and Scramble, for example. So whatever event you're doing, call our sign people. We can make signs up for you, and let the person put a sign in their business that says, hey, not only are we back in business, but we're supporting local nonprofits. We're supporting your golf event. Give them the details of the golf event and put it in their store. Again, work with your sponsors to help them grow their business. Now, let's talk about players. Okay, your event is very exciting. I mean, event is important. You just have to, what I call, have an excitement plan. An excitement plan to me is that why would people take time, especially in this economy, away from their businesses and away from their family, although they may need a break from their family, away from their businesses to say, I want to come out to that event. So you got to have an exciting event. I'll give you some ideas in a second. One idea I've used at my events, and this has been very effective, and I still think it can work. I usually pull aside 4 or 5 foursomes that I sell at a higher price, much higher price, that I call it a VIP foursome. And basically, they get reserved parking, reserved seating, and I assign a volunteer to travel with their group that has beer, Bloody Marys, cigars, whatever they need. If they have to go back to the clubhouse and get something that they want, they'll go back and get it. So everybody gets a sort of a traveling cart with them for anything. And this, I've sold it out for every one of my events, because business people who are bringing people to the event go, if I'm bringing my clients, I want them to feel special, and I'll sign up for this VIP foursome. Excuse me. Ask anybody who registers to give you names of other people that might be interested. I don't think we do a good enough job of asking for referrals. Make sure you got your marketing calendar done, we talked about. And I'll get into this again later, but ask people while they're at this event to sign up for your next event. And I'll show you how to do that in 1 second. Now, the question is how to take your event to the next level. Well, you want to add more stuff. You want a putting contest. You want to make sure you're promoting your raffle and auction items. You're going to do unique hole-in-one contests, and I'll show you examples of those. You may want to, you'll still able to do beverage and sampling stations on the course because there's distancing involved. I've asked all my golf courses, again, they want people back at their golf course. So ask them for a free round of golf to give to every player. Say, can I have a free round of golf? And maybe you give me 1 round if they bring, or a 2-for-1 round, or one guy comes back and he gets, a foursome gets a discount, whatever. More things you can ask the golf course for that you can add to the player's excitement. And again, we talked about the shootout before. Now, the reason I ask about the excitement plan is traditionally this is what an event looks like. They have a breakfast, golf, and awards. I'd like to see it have a little more excitement. So I might say, what are we doing before tee off? Putting contest, chipping contest, selling a super ticket, auction, raffle. What's going on the course? Hole-in-one contest, long drive, maybe $100,000 shot hole, which is really a fun concept. After golf, we're going to have $1 million shot, and we're going to have a $100,000 shootout. So just show I practice what I preach. This is one of my events, and this is the marketing piece we put out to everybody that says, hey, you want to come out to the event? Here's what's happening before we even tee off. Here's what's going on the course. Here's what's happening after golf. So when you get with your committee, what you're going to want to say to your committee is, you know what do we have in these areas? Is it blank, or do we have some cool stuff to put in there? And again, I don't want you to overspend on money, but you can do these things creatively and also sell them as sponsorships. And I have golf event coaches that work with events every day. We'll be glad to set up a call with you to go through your event and give you some ideas to fit within a certain budget. Here's an event that we were doing in Orlando, which we moved to the fall, but it was a brand new event, and we wanted to make it exciting. So we're playing, 9 par 3 holes, 9 regulation holes. We had a lot of exciting hole-in-one contest. We got $1 million shootout. We got a putting contest for Ryder Cup tickets. So you can see if someone's going to decide to play in an event, they'll look and go, do I want to go to a place that says golf, box lunch, and awards, or do I want something like this where lots of cool stuff is happening? And you can learn more about it. We've recorded a number of webinars on these subjects. So if you go to perfectgolfwebinars.com, and remember, I'm going to give you a copy of this presentation, so you'll have this link. And we have recorded sessions that I've done before on, why the 4-person scramble doesn't work, different formats, 21 ways to sell sponsorships, top fundraising contests, many, many more resources at Perfect Golf Event. Just go to Perfect Golf Event or Perfect Golf Event webinars, and you'll have all those resources for free. If we're talking about contests, you want to add hole-in-one contests to your event. Last year, this is kind of the range of hole-in-one contests we've done. So when you're thinking about a hole-in-one contest, a lot of people do cars. I find them boring, and they're always a 2-year lease. So if somebody gets a hole-in-one, they got to go through a credit report. They got to get rid of their existing car. Be creative. So these are samples of all the ones we did last year, including a cooking tour of Italy, a fly fishing tour to Colombia, British Columbia, a Vail ski vacation. We can share anything you can come up with. So be creative. And also customize them to your particular area. So here's an event we did in Philadelphia, and they wanted something that would work in their area that would attract Philadelphia people. And so we put this together, and the winner had a choice. If they made a hole-in-one, they got to go to an Eagles-Packers game, an Eagles-Dolphins game, a Sixers-Heat game, play golf at Doral. And so we did this last year for events in San Francisco, Denver, Chicago, Dallas. I think we did Miami. I know we did St. Louis. So wherever you are, if you come back to us, we'll come up with a custom cool package for you. And what happened in this Philadelphia event, people were calling him, other nonprofits called him and said, where did you get that hole-in-one contest? I want that for my event. And he said, well, I'm sorry, it's custom to my event. It's because we just made it up. So they did the same thing as St. Louis events where we had, hole-in-one contest for season tickets to the new MLS team, way trip for Cardinals, blue season tickets. Here's another one in Philadelphia. We did some national contests along with a trip to do any of the Philadelphia teams. So if you want, we can always give you good ideas on how to do that. Another thing you want to think about your event, if you're doing lots of those transactions like mulligans, raffle tickets, putting contest entry, chipping contest entry, whatever it is, you may want to combine them into a super ticket. That way you can sell them at one time, one transaction. They get entry into everything. And you can customize these, and we'll be glad to do the design for you. So this one had an entry into the putting contest, 2 mulligans, and a chance to take it in the raffle for $1 million shot. So a super ticket is a great way to sell entry and contest in one transaction, so there's not long lines. You're not nickel and diming people down the line. I had really good success in this events last year, and what we called it, we said, hey, your golf ticket, which is your normal registration, say you're paying $200 to play in the event. These are all the things that you get normally. This is included with your 200 event. You're not going to get a buffet this year, but we'll have to revise this, but that's what we did last year. Then we said, but by the way, as long as you're here, if you want to upgrade it, we have what's called a super golf ticket. And for $100 more, you're going to get entry into the putting contest, 2 mulligans, a chance to qualify for the $1 million shootout. We're going to draw 4 players for that. But also, if you got a hole-in-one on the 3 bonus holes, you can see over here, there's a $10,000 cash hole-in-one. And then you had a tailor-made irons, a rangefinder, and a $500 gift certificate. That's just if somebody makes a hole-in-one, they don't look around and say, I don't win anything. But if they bought the super ticket and they had a hole-in-one on the hole where the Bushnell rangefinder was or the $500 gift card was, they got the better prize. So instead of getting a gift card for $500 with a hole-in-one on that hole, if they got one, they would get 2 tickets to the Masters worth $12,000. So 92% of the players in my events last year where we offered this bought the super ticket, and it was profitable for the event, exciting for the players, and we didn't force it down their throats, but they said, of course, why wouldn't I do this for a good cause? And I want to win master tickets rather than a $500 gift certificate. You want to consider offers and raffles for your event. And remember, there's 3 stages of your auction. You can have it online prior to the event, and good news is Perfect Golf Events launching an online auction application on or about July 1st, where you'll be able to upload your own items in the auction and also access our library of auction items. You can have a silent auction at the event, and if you have something cool, like a really high value item, I'd stay away from live auctions this year because of the group gathering, but if you did have something cool, you can have a live auction maybe for one really cool event. You can source donated items. We'll be able to help you with consignment items and experiences, but auctions are a great way to add additional money. And you're at home right now, start looking for items. Same thing with raffles. good news about raffles is you can sell as many tickets as you want. It doesn't cost you anymore. You have a fixed number of things in the raffle. And again, you can use some items for the auction and some items for the raffle. You'll make additional funds. A couple other fundraising ideas, and these are things I just think about because I want to make sure that you raise as much as you can the day of the event. Sometimes I'll do a swing clinic where the pro will stand out there and a golfer can go up and pay $20 and get their swing fixed before they tee off since they haven't played for a month or so. You can do a ball drop. Some people do helicopter ball drops. I'm doing them with fire trucks now because it's easier. An air gun, a drone drop, long drive professional. If you want any ideas on these, just email us and we'll give them to you. Some events now I've started to do a program because you can have recognize all my sponsors, and I can put some coupons in there as well. That drives people in. So it's an added benefit. So, hey, become my title sponsor and you get the cover of the program. Be a presenting sponsor and you get the back cover of the program. They're inexpensive. And as I said before, you can trade with a local provider the printing and give them a sponsorship at your event and maybe a spot in the tournament. Last one I'm going to cover as we're wrapping up here. This is called a donation board, and I'm doing this for my Backstoppers event, and I'm testing it with a couple other events. But basically, we're just putting up a board at the event, and it's going to be just some low key. If you walk over the board, and you want to sponsor a vehicle and the Backstoppers is a nonprofit for survivors of people who have been killed in the line of duty. And so we'll go back and look, see if you say, if you want to support the family's college fund, give us $500. If you want to support their vehicle for a year, it's $1,000. If you want to support their housing, it's $5,000. And you can do any range from 50 up to 100 to whatever you want to do. Excuse me. And so I'm just going to set them up, and it's low key. Just walk over, hey, and just you'll be able to take the thing off. It's like Velcroed on. Take it over to our people. We'll process it right there. If you want an invoice, we'll send you an invoice. But I think this is it's just an ask. And it just says, look, we need your help. If you can be in your heart to do it, do it. It doesn't hurt to ask. Now, last couple, you remember at your event, think about next year. Remember what I'm telling you about what I call advance, survive and advance. So, get your 2021 event date down. And then at your 2020 event, have forms available where people can sign up for next year and give them an early bird offer. Say, hey, thanks for playing this year. We appreciate it. I know it's a challenging time. Why don't you come back next year? We have a special rate if you sign up today. I'm not going to ask for any money, but I'm just going to put you as a soft, reservation. And then as soon as your event's over, update your Perfect Golf Event website. We can copy over your website in a couple minutes. And then put a link and when you send your thank you notes out, say to people, thanks for playing in the event. Here's a link to our 2021 event. Please put it on your website, your calendar. Why have a link to your prior year? So promote it. This is smart stuff. As I said before, what I call is pulling all the levers. Make sure you've got your website set up with Perfect Golf Event. It's got all these features and benefits. People can register online. Logos can be on the home page. It's got a donation feature. It's got everything you're going to need for having an efficient event site. You can set one up for free. I'm going to look at the questions in just a second to see what kind of questions we have. If you would like to get one of our coaches to talk to you about your event, just call this number or email support at Perfect Golf, and they'll set up an appointment to talk to you about your event. And I think you'll find that useful. Again, make sure you've set up your Perfect Golf Event website. It's kind of the key to this whole online registration thing. If you want a copy of the presentation, or if there's any questions you can have for me, just write it down. It's Paul at Perfect Golf Event. Send me a note, and I'll be glad to take care of you. Okay. Somebody asked, okay, good question. Somebody asked about regular members being ticked off if they have a weekend being blocked out with an event. I said one of the things I found is that the events are really important. So what I'm doing on some of that is I'm working with the course to say that we're going to tee off late in the afternoon. Like the members can play in the morning. We're going to tee off at 1 o'clock. And so and I think the members can understand it because you know what the members are going to get? They're going to get an assessment if they don't have enough events. So the members will understand, hey, we need the outside revenue. And so that was a very good question, but I think you can work through it this year. Probably wouldn't work next year, but I know a couple of courses that are just dying to fill their course up, and they'll tell their members, hey, we need some revenue. Otherwise, you're going to have to dip in your pocket and help us make it up financially. So thank you again for listening. I hope you found this to be worthwhile. I look forward to hearing from you. If you need a copy of the presentation, just send me a note. Thank you very much for listening, and be safe and have a great event. Remember, we want to survive and advance and pull all the levers.